and welcome to This Week at the Movies. I'm Matt, and it is the first full weekend in February. It is also the weekend of the Super Bowl, but that hasn't stopped people from dumping a lot of different options into theaters this weekend. I'm going to be talking about 4 different options you can have in the theater. I will also be continuing my look at the Academy Award races today. Going to talk about Best International Feature. But first, I titled this episode originally Dracula. I was going to start with that, probably the most noteworthy new release, but I'm going to shift things up and start out in a happier place. This is the season of love, really the month of love. In February, you start getting a lot of romance movie options. We saw one on Prime Video in the middle of the week. We're going to see them rolling out on streaming, but in theaters this weekend, the one that leads the way is Solo Mio, which comes from Angel Studios and features Kevin James. He is a teacher who has been looking for love for a long time, thinks he found it. At the beginning, we see this whirlwind romance between him and Heather, played by Julianne Emery, culminating in a great proposal and a destination wedding in Italy. As we pick up, that ceremony is about to begin. He's waiting at the altar and she doesn't show up. He finds a letter explaining that she can't do it and that she's leaving and leaving him the ring. He tries to go on a hunt for her, can't find her, and ends up back at his hotel where he would like to get a refund for the lavish honeymoon package for 2 that he has purchased, but he can't. They suggest he go on it by himself. And so begrudgingly he does. Along the way, he befriends a couple of other couples, Julian and Megan, played by Kim Coates and Allison Hannigan. It was kind of fun. Kim Coates, you see him a lot of times play villains and things. This was a different kind of role. It was a lot of fun. And Neil and Donna, played by Jonathan Romy and Julie Serta. They become a little bit of a support system for him as he's out there trying to give him advice and encouragement. Not always the greatest advice and encouragement, but along the way he meets a woman named Gia who runs a local cafe, played by Nicole Gramato, and sparks begin to fly. But is it too soon? Can he jump into something new? That is a little bit about what this film is about. It's just about 95 minutes, not a huge investment of time. James is just so charismatic in these lead roles. He has a very unique and gifted physical comedy style, and they do lean into some of that here, and they do let him be funny sometimes here, but this also is an opportunity for him to be a little more earnest and show a little bit more of his emotional range. I really liked the romance, the way it kind of organically comes together. I like some of the twists and surprises. There are a couple of great musicians who make cameos in here with their music, which is a lot of fun. There is some incredibly funny sequences. There are some incredibly touching sequences. Overall, this is the perfect kind of movie for a date night. It is a PG film. Nothing really objectionable out there. If you're looking for a nice, sweet date movie this time of year, this is a great option for you. I am giving it a thumbs up. I had a lot of fun with it. I think Kevin James does a great job here. I thought it was a very clever take on this story and kind of a great entree into what we expect is going to be an onslaught here the next few days as we get ready for Valentine's weekend, which is actually next weekend. There are some big high profile romance options that are coming out next weekend, probably coming on streaming as well. But Solo Mio, a great one to go pick up. If you plan to spend all of Sunday locked in on pregame and NFL, maybe grab that special someone, take her to the movies tonight, see a nice Kevin James film. Just a little tip out there. I've delayed the inevitable for a little bit, but the big release this week is Dracula, Luke Beson's version of Dracula. We have seen the tale of Dracula told time and again. The Bram Stoker novel came out in the late 1800s. We've seen versions that are transcendent, like 2024's Nosferatu, which was a beautifully crafted take on the story and world building. And we've seen some that are regrettable. And I would say this one squarely falls in the regrettable category. They probably chose to open it wide this weekend because they also want to turn it into a pensive love story, and I can hear your wheels turning, and you're probably wondering how that's going to work. And I'll be honest, it really does not. This is mostly focused on. We kickstart in 1480, where we meet the Prince of Vlad, played by Caleb Landry Jones. He is newly married and almost totally consumed by his wife Elizabetta, played by Zoe Blue. He gets called to a religious war at the front. We see some slaughter, we see some carnage. The only thing he asks of the priest is that the priest pray that God would protect his wife. Unfortunately, somehow his wife's caravan, I don't know why they moved her out of the secure castle. This is one of the many questions that aren't really even worth considering because they're not going to attempt to answer, and it will do nothing but drive you crazy. Gets captured and killed, and that causes him to lose his stuff a little bit. Defies God, kills a priest on the altar. Not great stuff. Flash forward 400 or so years now. It's the late 1880s. And Vlad's still around and kicking. He has some minions out doing some things for him, and he's looking for the reincarnated soul of Elizabetta because it was a pure soul that was sure to be reincarnated. Meanwhile, there's a priest played by Christoph Waltz, who's part of a group who's been hunting these vampires for a long time, hoping to cure the problem. The typical setup. When Christoph Waltz appears, there's an opening sequence in here that was a lot. And then when Christoph Waltz appeared, I thought, oh, maybe they're trying to make a little bit of a comedy. And no, I think that was Christoph Waltz trying to will himself into a better film, because most of the rest of this is too earnest. They have a lot of things they're trying to say about faith and redemption, but I don't think Luke Beeson knows anything about faith or redemption. They have a lot to say about love, but I don't know if he knows much about love either. So a lot of this lands with a round thud. This is a huge thumbs down, and honestly, this is the worst film I've seen this year so far. It is a complete train wreck and a disaster. I don't think it'll be great if you like horror movies. It definitely is not great as a date night film. It also runs a little over 2 hours, which I felt the runtime in this, and has some preposterous ending sequences. I liked Christoph Waltz. That's one of the reasons I gave it a star. There were some shots that were interesting, but this is just a hot mess. And I know in the past, Beeson has given us films like The Professional, which is a classic for many, Fifth Element, which was kind of a creative film that appealed to many. But his more recent films have all been misses and misfires for me, and this is no exception. This is probably one of the most ridiculous takes on the classic tale of Dracula I've ever seen, and there is no reason to run out and see it. It is just bad. But if you do want a horror movie that might be a little better, we get one opening this week, and that is the Corn Hardy film Whistle. This one from IFC Shutter. I eventually believe it will end up on the streaming platform, but for now, it opens in theaters. This is about a group of high school students who find a mysterious whistle-looking object that turns out to be an Aztec death whistle. And nothing good ever comes of playing around with things that look creepy, that you don't know what they are, but they decide to blow it, and you can imagine what is going to happen. Just right there, it tells you don't blow it. But of course, the kids do, and you wouldn't really have a movie without it. This one, maybe a touch long in places, but I thought it moved at a pretty decent pace. You get a fun cameo from Nick Frost in here. You get a fun cameo from Michelle Fairley, who people will recognize from Game of Thrones. But this one, led by Daphne Keane, who played X-23 in Logan and Deadpool and Wolverine. She does a nice job in the lead role. Sophie Nélisse, kind of the co-star here. You would probably remember her from The Book Thief. I thought they had some nice chemistry, some nice back and forth. The teen actors, a little eponymous, but worked out pretty well. I'm actually giving this one a mild thumbs up. This is not high up and won't stay in there long, but it is up in my top 12 for now. I thought as a horror movie, it delivered everything that I was looking for, kind of from that. Everything Dracula is not. Um, Whistle has a love story embedded in it that worked just fine. It has some twists and turns. It has some really over the top death sequences that actually work in the context of this film. I was pleasantly surprised. This is what you're looking for from a horror movie in this time of year. We've seen a lot of horror movies get released. Corin Hardy previously gave us the film The Nun. That one, not a story I love, but some of the visuals there were pretty incredible, and he brings some good visuals into Whistle as well. So this one of the horror movies that has been released this year that actually is worth going and checking out, especially if you're a fan of the genre. And I think it offers a little something to keep you engaged. But let's say you're not into horror movies per se or romances. What else is out there? Well, the movie Scarlet is going to be going wider next weekend, but this weekend it has launched out in IMAX on the biggest screens. This one got a late release in late 2025. To compete for awards. Didn't really end up in that competition, but now it is finally rolling out. This one coming from Mamoru Hosoda, who's the writer and director here. It focuses on a young princess, Scarlet, whose father is killed. As we launch in, she knows it was done by her uncle. She swears vengeance, but before she can make that happen, she herself dies. And it is in the afterlife that she finds a way to continue her quest for vengeance against her uncle. But soon she's paired with a paramedic voiced by Masaka Okada, who was from the modern era, who has a very different viewpoint on life and death, and that begins to have an impact on Scarlet as she goes on her journey and her quest. An interesting kind of story. Another one of these anime style releases. I'm giving this one a mild thumbs up as well. I thought the visuals here worked really well. The story engaging enough. I think if you're a fan of this kind of film genre and this kind of storytelling, you will like what you see here. I thought the visual world was pretty impressive. I understand why they're making it a point to launch it on XD. So if you want to catch it on the big format, this is the weekend to do that. And then it'll start going wider throughout the month. But a solid, action animated film in Scarlet, one that is worth checking out. One that, comes to us from overseas, which is a great lead into the fact that, as promised, going to be looking at these Academy Award races one at a time as we go through. We still have more than a month before the Academy Awards, so plenty of time to discuss. Well, today, I wanted to talk about the Best International Feature field at the Oscars. The nominees, The Secret Agent, the official entry from Brazil. It also earned several other nominations, including a Best Picture nomination and Best Actor nomination for Wagner Moura. It was just an accident. The official entry from France, actually an Iranian film from Jafar Panahi, very powerful. Sentimental Value, the official entry from Norway. It is another one that earned a Best Picture nomination, also earned acting nominations for the four principal performers, Renate Reinsve, Inga Ibsodder Lilius, Stellan Skarsgård, and Elle Fanning. So a lot of award love for Sentimental Value. The film Surat, the official entry from Spain. This one also earned a couple of other Academy Awards. And then The Voice of Hind Rajab, the official entry from Tunisia, looks at things in the Middle East. And I have to be honest, I think The Voice of Hind Rajab is a long shot in this category, but I am just going to encourage you to, if you can find it, do it. It is not a long film. It uses original audio. It is set in a call center where they are trying to provide aid to those in Palestine who are pinned down in a war zone. It uses original audio of a little girl whose family got caught up and got bombed, and they're trying desperately to get her help. It is emotionally devastating, but it was one of the best films I saw last year and one of my favorite international features. This is not my favorite in this category, and I think it's again a very big long shot to get a victory, but I think it is worth seeing. All five of these films are worth seeing. Surat, probably from a story standpoint, the one that I liked the least, but from a craft standpoint and the score and the sound and the soundtrack, there's some very fascinating things being done there, and I think that that has a very unique fan base and appeal. It was just an accident, a very tremendous story from Iran. Jafar Panahi kind of shooting it underground. They're threatening to put him back in jail for his work on this film and delivering this film out. Definitely worth seeing. I think those three are probably more long shots to win in this category. I think it ultimately comes down to The Secret Agent from Brazil and Sentimental Value. Both those earning Best Picture nominations, which usually puts it in a stratus a little bit above. Both of them also getting multiple other nominations, including acting nominations, writing nominations, other craft nominations. I think that shows that they are a little bit stronger of a contender. I enjoyed The Secret Agent. We saw Brazilian films do pretty well the last few years. I thought it has a very interesting story. I really enjoyed Wagner Moura in this. I thought he gives a great performance. It's a little long. I've heard some people say. I thought the story was engaging enough that I was tracking along with it. It does make some choices that maybe won't resonate with everyone, but I thought it was a very solid film, and many people enjoyed that so much that they just had it on their top list of the year, period. That was how I felt about Sentimental Value. And I don't know if I can be completely impartial about this field because of how much I love Sentimental Value. If you followed my end of the year, you saw that Sentimental Value was my number 2 film for the year. There is a group of films that are competing for Best Picture that really touched me, that I am very emotional about. And, you know, Sentimental Value, Sinners, One Battle After Another, I would have trouble really picking between them. I think they were so good, so different, all of them so different, but so good. And Sentimental Value, you know, Renata Reinsve and Inga Ipsodder Lilius would be my picks if I was a voter for winning Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. I thought they were simply incredible. I don't know that they have the greatest chance of winning in the actual awards, but they are nominated. All the acting nominations, there was a writing nomination here as well. I think Sentimental Value is the one that is going to win in this category, Best International Feature. Wouldn't be shocked if it was The Secret Agent, but I'm leaning towards Sentimental Value. And if you haven't seen it, it is out on VOD now. It is really worth checking out. It is a beautiful film from Joachim Trier. So that is a look at Best International Feature, one of the best slates, I think, of nominees in this year's awards field. And that is really saying something because it was a good year for films. There are a lot of interesting options out there, but check them out. All 5 of them bring something unique to the table. All 5 very worthy of being seen. Well, that'll do it for me this week. Next week, another big week. A fun film from Gore Verbinski. Good luck. Have fun. Don't die. I also will be checking out Crime 101, a new crime thriller starring Chris Hemsworth, Halle Berry, Mark Ruffalo, and of course, it is Valentine's weekend, and the big one is Wuthering Heights. Eric will be back with me. We are both, I believe, taking our ladies for date night to check out Wuthering Heights. So we'll be back next Saturday to talk about the latest from Emerald Fennell. You know, I loved Promising Young Woman. I'm very excited to see what Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie can do in this take on the Bronte novel. So we will see that next week. Until then, hope you guys have a wonderful week. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and we'll see you at the movies.